The Cincinnati Bengals finished the 2025 season a disappointing 6-11 season and now have a ton of work they need to do in the offseason. So in today's video, I will be giving you guys my mock offseason for the Cincinnati Bengals. Hit the like and subscribe button if you guys going to enjoy. Let's hop into it. So the way this video is going to work is we are going to begin by talking about what went wrong in the 2025 season. We're then going to go ahead and look at their salary cap situation. We're going to open up some money, re-sign some players, and then give you guys my free agency plan. And then at the very end of the video, instead of doing a 3-round mock draft like I usually do for the Cincinnati Bengals fans out there, I will be doing a 4-round mock draft for the Cincinnati Bengals. With that said, let us talk about what happened in 2025 because, well, to put it lightly, it was disappointing. The season started off mildly okay. You got 2 victories, not really fun victories, especially that game versus Cleveland, but the Jacksonville game kind of gave you some promise there for a little bit, and then the Joe Burrow injury happened, and Burrow would go on to miss basically most of the season. He would be out from really the second half of week 2 all the way until week 12, and honestly, by week 12, this is a 3-8 football team that probably should not have brought back Joe Burrow. I honestly believe that this team was hoping that they could be around 500 by the week 13 or week 12 mark, so that way they could have brought back Joe Burrow with like a 6-6 record or 5-7 record and still have some sort of hope of making it into the playoffs, just kind of banking on Joe Burrow being Superman. But I always thought that was quite illogical. It made no sense to do that. If Burrow's going to miss the majority of the season and your defense still stinks, why not just tank the entire season? They kind of did it, but they also kind of did not do it. They did go 6-11, but they still do have a top 10 pick, and they actually have a couple assets to work with in the offseason. So bad year for the Cincinnati Bengals. They have a lot of team needs, a lot of things they have to do. The roster's not very good, but with that said, let us talk about some quick team needs because I do think it's important that we talk about what we need to address before we get into our re-signings and contract extensions and free agency and the draft. So we're going to start off on the offensive end. I mean, for the most part, this team is pretty sound offensively. It's a really good offense when they're healthy. I definitely think a wide receiver 3 is due for an upgrade and probably has some pieces on the interior offensive line. I would like to get some better bodies, some younger bodies, and just, better players in the interior here. But most of our money this offseason will be spent on the defensive side of things. I think safety is a massive need. If we can get 1 or 2 safeties, I would gladly take that. Interior defensive line is a massive need for me. Both Slayton and BJ Hill, and honestly, all of these guys haven't been good enough. And if we can find another pass rusher, I would like to find that too. Maybe another corner and maybe a veteran in the linebacking room would be nice. More than anything, it's about time that the Bengals invest in themselves and stop handing out these massive contracts to good football players, but now find a way to bring in quality role players defensively, right? You're hoping that guys like Shamar Stewart can develop into becoming that potential superstar, but banking on a swing like that and banking on his type of upside and not having a backup plan behind it is a little bit risky. So I think that for this team, we need to go all in on making sure this defense next year is not a bottom 5 defense in the league like it has been for a lot of Joe Burrow's career. They have assets to work with. They have a number of ways they can open up money, and they have their own draft picks this year. They should be able to turn this defense around quite easily. So, well, not quite easily, but easily enough. With that said, let's talk about their salary cap situation because it's not bad at all. So this is via over the cap. As you can see right here, they currently have $53.5 million in open cap space. If you go to 2027, 151, and 2028, 207. I bring those numbers up just to kind of prove to you guys that this team is not in cap hell. Despite the fact they are paying Burrow, Higgins, and Chase a large sum of money, they have money to work with this year, and with some basic cuts and restructures, we can get this number up way higher. So I'll hop into the calculator right here. You can see we're at 50, 54, 55-ish million dollars. We'll round that up to 55 just for easy number's sake. Number one thing we need to do is make a couple cuts. Some guys that just are not playing up to par. And I think the first name I'm going to bring up here is BJ Hill and TJ Slayton. We talked about the interior defensive line duo a little earlier. Neither one of these guys have really done anything. They're not great pass rushers. I know Slayton had a decent year this year as a pass rusher. I think he had 3 sacks on the season, but neither one of these guys are young or great football players, and they're getting paid a decent bit of cash. By cutting both these players, BJ Hill specifically post June 1st, that'll open up basically $8.5 million. You can see the number here goes up to $61 million. And then if we cut TJ Slayton pre-June 1st, that's $6.5 million. Now we're up to $68 million. In addition to that, if we also were to cut an offensive lineman here, let me find it, Cody Ford, who, kind of just a jack of all trades and kind of play all positions, but is not good at any position. He's just a bad starter. We cut him. That opens up an additional $3 million. You can see we're up to $71 million. And then lastly, if we do a restructure to one of the big three, I'm going to do it to Jamar Chase because he is the youngest and he has been the most consistently healthy, right? Burrow has injuries, it feels like every other year. Higgins has had some injuries throughout his career. Chase is the guy that I know is going to be on our roster no matter what for the foreseeable future. So by restructuring his deal, that opens up 13 million. And you can see actually 16 million, and you can see we're now up to $87.6 million after some honestly really easy decisions. None of these decisions were hard to make. So we now have $87 million. We have a couple players we need to re-sign though, but the good news is they don't have like a ton of big names they have to worry about. But with that $87 million, we also have a ton of players we need to sign. So with that said, let's go ahead and talk about some re-signings real quick. And when we get into our free agency plan, I'll kind of talk you guys through some of those pickups and why I felt like these were good pickups for this team and, what their purpose could be for this roster long term. So again, we're going to talk about the re-signings here really quickly. And the good news is, as I mentioned, not a ton of like massive swing names. The biggest name here by far and away is Trey Hendrickson, which I feel like the writing is on the wall here. It feels like he's probably going to be off this team next year. His market value is 25, and look, we can't afford Trey Hendrickson on this roster. Like, we can pay him 3 years, 75, but we just saw Trey Hendrickson have a injury-riddled, unproductive season in 2025, and paying him $25 million, especially to an organization like the Bengals, who have a ton of money tied into 3 players and are not the richest people in the world, let's just put it that way. I'm going to let Trey Hendrickson walk, even though he's an incredible football player. He's 31, going to be 32 next year, and he wants to get paid over $20 million. That doesn't make a ton of sense for the Bengals to do it, so we're going to let him leave. Joseph Osai, we will bring back, though. For Joseph, it all depends on what the money is for this guy. If Joseph Osai is going to want $9 to $10 million, I think we let him leave. If we can work that number down to a more reasonable $8 to $7 million deal, I'm okay with that. So for the sake of this one, we are going to bring back Joseph Osai. We're going to bring him back on a 3-year, $24 million deal. That is slightly below market value, but it might be a bit more realistic for a guy that is not the most proven player in the world right now. Joseph Osai, 3 years, $24 million to return to Cincinnati. Moving down the board, Geno Stone, I think all Bengals fans would throw an absolute riot if I brought you back, so we're going to let you leave, which was disappointing because I actually really liked the signing a few years ago. He was really good that last year in Baltimore, but it just did not work out this or either year for the Bengals. We'll bring back Joe Flacco on a 1-year, $6 million deal. Burrow can't stay healthy. Flacco went in there and sliding the rock around. I think he gives you a chance to win any given Sunday, and we'll bring him back on a 1-year deal. Joe Flacco at 41 years old, being a priority to bring back. Never thought I'd say those words in the big 2026. Noah Fant will bring back on a 1-year, $4 million deal. He's just a backup tight end. He fits nicely with the team. I don't want to create more holes. Cordell Volson will let walk. Even though, you could maybe bring the argument to bring him back as like a depth piece. I guess so, but I'm not going to prioritize any of these guards here. We will bring back Dalton Reisner, though, on a 2-year, $8 million deal. He had a great year for Cincinnati, which does concern me a little bit because he hasn't been particularly great the past few years, but all of a sudden this year he was incredible. So, we'll bring him back because I feel like we kind of have to. And look, we already have a need in the interior offensive line, and we let Volson and Patrick walk, so we probably want to make sure we save our ass here a little bit by bringing back Dalton Reisner. But moving down the board, Marco Wilson will let walk. Cam Taylor-Britt is interesting because I still feel like he's a good football player, but he just never really became the player they wanted him to be. His snaps decreased as the year went on, and if he's going to get paid $9 million, I think we let him get that money elsewhere. If he wants to return for cheap, maybe, but I'm going to let him walk. The only other player that I'm going to really prioritize bringing back, we'll bring back Jalen Davis, who's just a backup rotational corner. He wouldn't cost us much, 1 year, 1.5, 1 year, $2 million, something along those lines, and honestly, I think that's it. I think everybody else will let leave. Maybe Jake Browning, we match his restricted free agent contract. I mean, he's a third-string quarterback, so maybe, or else you maybe draft somebody. But yeah, that's who I'm going to bring back. So to recap who we re-signed here, we brought back Joe Flacco on a 1-year, $6 million deal, Joseph Osai on a 3-year, $24 million deal, Dalton Reisner on a 2-year, $8 million deal, Jalen Davis 1 year, $3 million, and Noah Fant 1 year, $4 million. After those contracts, money could fluctuate here a little bit, but we went from $87.5 million to about $61.5 million. We'll round that up to about $62 million. Again, the numbers here are a little bit loose. You can work the finances. You can backload a contract. You can front load a contract. You can give them a certain amount of guarantees, things like that. We're working with about $62-ish million, though. But with all that said, we brought back some players, we opened up some money. We currently have about 62 million to work with. Let us now hop into my free agency plan. Now, before I go ahead and give you guys the players we're going to bring in, I do want to emphasize I am prioritizing fixing this defense primarily. I want to make sure I bring in a mixture of some young guys who can play now, while also bringing in some veterans to help bring along some of these younger guys we have. So with that all said, let us start off with our first, probably the biggest one here. We're going to bring in Kobe Bryant on a 3-year, $42 million deal. So Kobe Bryant is 26 years old. He primarily plays that free roamer in the back, the free safety position. You can see this year had an incredible season, 65.5 overall grade, a 61.9 coverage grade, 70.3 run defense grade, 4 interceptions, 17 receptions allowed, played a total of 974 snaps. Most importantly, he played for a Seattle team that I think is just incredible. Now, the odds of Kobe Bryant making it to the open market and actually leaving Seattle, admittedly speaking, are pretty low. I'll just completely be honest with you. But, I thought, why not have a little fun here? For some other safety names you could also look at, I mean, Jalen Thompson's available. I think Hawkins from New England is available. So there's a couple other players out there. It's actually a pretty decent safety draft class too. But I think we need 2 safeties. So I like the free roamer personality of Kobe Bryant, just sort of that athletic guy in the back end with good size, good length, good run defender, does all the right things well. You don't really have to worry about him, sucking next year like we saw with Geno Stone. It is an expensive contract, but look, 3 years, $42 million. Your window to win is now. You have the money available. Why not go all in on a potential difference maker in the back end, a difference maker this defense has not really had in recent years? Next up, we're going to bring in Alex Anzalone on a 3-year, $21 million deal. So we talked a little earlier about wanting to bring in some experienced veterans to bring along the young guys. I prioritize that with the linebacker room. Alex Anzalone is 31 years old, still playing some incredible football. You can see 67.5 overall grade, 65.6 run defense grade, 65.3 coverage grade. You can see 68 solo, 3 sacks, 26 assisted. When you look at the linebacker core for this team, you got Demetrius Knight, young player. Young player in the sense of he's a rookie last year. Barrett Carter, young player. Oren Burks, bit of an older player, but not necessarily the veteran that we want on this team. Not to mention the linebacker core last year wasn't great. Alex Anzalone gives them a talent upgrade while also bringing on the likes of a Barrett Carter and a Demetrius Knight and potentially another rookie in this year's class. I just feel like the addition of Alex Anzalone just makes a ton of sense for this team. Plus, I don't think Detroit's going to bring him back because they're in a weird financial situation with all their superstars they got to pay. Anzalone could kind of be the odd man out here. And yeah, he's a little bit older. I think we'll probably make it like the first 2 years are guaranteed. That last year, maybe not so much guaranteed money on it. So that way you're saving your ass in 3 years. But his contract's not that big, 21 million. That's 7 per year. Again, you can front load it. You can do a certain thing to it. But yeah, I just feel like he's a good football player that does everything I want from the linebacker position. Moving over to our next pickup, it's going to be Jalen Nailor on a 2-year, $10 million deal. So we went through our team needs. I mentioned quickly that I thought wide receiver 3 was a bit of a need, and that is exactly why we're bringing in Jalen Nailor. Jalen Nailor is not a superstar, and that's exactly what we don't need in the receiving core. We do not need a superstar, and I also don't want to have to burn a draft pick on a potential wide receiver 3. Jalen Nailor is like the prototypical wide receiver 3. He went to Minnesota, played next to Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, and was a quality third option. You can see 49 targets, 29 receptions, 444 receiving yards, and 4 receiving touchdowns. Keep in mind, this was in Minnesota where he played with J.J. McCarthy, who Mr. 9 was not great, and you can see his stats last year were about the same. I think with this team, with Burrow, Chase, and Higgins, the receiving core for this team is really not great outside of them, right? Andre Yoshivas is okay, but I don't know. Wide receiver 3 good? Maybe. I mean, the stats aren't bad, but I just feel like I would like somebody who can play a lot more in the slot, fits next to these guys better. And, we saw a little bit from Mitchell Tinsley, and there's some other guys here, but I feel like a Jalen Nailor in this offense specifically would excel. I'm not saying he's going to have 1,000 yards, but I think getting to 500, 600 yards, complementing Higgins and Chase, and when one of those guys misses a game or gets injured, stepping into that second wide receiver spot like he has had to do in his career, just feel like it makes a lot of sense, and it doesn't break the bank. 2-year, $10 million, that's $5 million per year. Next up, let's talk about Roy Lopez on a 2-year, $12 million deal. So Roy Lopez really broke out this year, which is weird because he's already a 28-year-old player who kind of had his big breakout year. And that's not to say that he was bad in years past, but you can see like 2024, this was when he was with the Arizona Cardinals. He's a good football player, like really solid. You can see in 2023 some good numbers. 2022, a good solid football player. But I felt like in 2025, with a bigger opportunity there in Detroit, I thought he kind of took advantage of it and played really solid out there. 6'2", 318. We're giving him a 2-year, $12 million deal, giving him a little bit of a pay increase after a depressive season. But we're still going to prioritize bringing in another body in this room, whether it's in free agency or through the draft. We need 2 to 3 potential starters on that, or not 2 to 3 starters, but 2 to 3 pieces in that room. Roy Lopez being one of them. Good numbers this year, 3 sacks, 19 solo tackles, stout run defender. I just feel like he makes a lot of sense for this team. And really quickly, we're going to bring up the last 2 players. We're going to bring in Leonard Floyd on a 1-year, $5 million deal and bring back DJ Reader on a 2-year, $8 million deal. So these guys are both older players. Leonard Floyd, I think, is 34, and DJ Reader is now in his mid-30s or maybe early 30s, something along those lines. Neither one of these guys are long-term assets for us, but we have a number of young guys we're going to be bringing into this room. You look at the edge rushing room, Osai, Shamar Stewart, and Miles Murphy. They're all super young. So we need that veteran to pair with them because we no longer have Trey Hendrickson. I think that's exactly where Leonard Floyd comes into play here. Plus, we might even draft another edge rusher, so we're going to need that veteran presence there. And when it comes to DJ Reader, I just feel like it makes sense. He was a good football player for this team back then. He spent the past couple of years in Detroit, was good for them as well, but his time has kind of come and gone over there, and he's getting a little bit older, wasn't as productive this year, but still could be an impactful starter on an NFL team. And for the Cincinnati Bengals that need 2 big guys up the middle, we already have Roy Lopez in the fold. We still have McKinley Jackson. We still might draft one in this year's draft class. Adding in or bringing back DJ Reader on a cheap deal for a guy that's a good football player, to me, just makes a lot of sense. So to recap our free agency, Kobe Bryant on a 3-year, $42 million deal, Alex Anzalone on a 3-year, $21 million deal, Jalen Naylor, 2-year, $10 million deal, Roy Lopez, 2-year, $12 million, Leonard Floyd, 1-year, $5 million, and DJ Reader, 2 years, $8 million. We have about $20 million in cap space still available. We will save that money and put that towards depth pieces, a backup tackle, a backup edge rusher, things like that, stuff that I'm not going to bring up too much in this video because it just would be kind of boring. These are, 1 to 2 year guys that you're just seeing if they can make the roster. So we'll save that. Plus, we got to save some money for the draft class, which let's hop into right now. So as you can see, we are on the PFF mock draft simulator, 4-round mock draft for the Cincinnati Bengals. We still have a number of things I would like to address. A young interior defensive lineman still checks out. Another linebacker or edge rusher. I would like more of a physical downhill safety prospect. I think I have a couple names I really like in this class. A corner would still be a need. An interior offensive line is a big time need. Probably the biggest need because we have not addressed that so far. So hopefully one of these tackles falls to us. We have the 10th overall pick and the 41st overall pick. Let's hop into it. We are up at number 10 and the board fell perfectly for us. You can see pretty realistic mock draft. Fernando, Reese, Love, Tate, Bailey, Downs, Styles, Lemon, and Bain all off the clock here. I could definitely see this being how the draft kind of goes and these being the names available for Cincinnati. To me, this pick is pretty obvious. I would love the idea of pairing Mansour Delane with some of those other young guys in the secondary, but Cincinnati, their corners are not bad by no means. I feel like Dax Hill, DJ Turner, and then Jalen Davis is that kind of that nickel guy who we did bring back. I feel like that's mostly okay. I mean, again, I would like to draft another corner down the board here, but we have multiple other picks here that we can maybe spend that on for an asset or two. When it comes to this, we have to protect Joe Burrow. Francis can play tackle, but we're probably going to play him at guard, specifically probably left guard, honestly, because we need a Cordell Volson replacement. And we do have Dylan Fairchild as well, who we can kind of wait and see what he develops into. And, but we brought back Dalton Reisner to play one of the guard spots. Maybe he kicks the left guard and Francis plays right guard. We're going to play Francis at guard. He could also play tackle as well when Mims or Brown, if Brown were to leave in a few years, maybe you kick Francis at left tackle and see how he works. But we're going to probably play him at right guard for this team. Oh my gosh, this is an unbelievable pickup right here for this team. We're back up at 41. I can't believe Emmanuel McNeil-Warren is still on the board here. I don't know if this is the most realistic thing in the world, but if he's here, I mean, I'm not going to shy away from it. This could happen, by the way. It happens all the time in the draft where a guy who, you don't think is going to fall ends up falling, and he fell right into our laps here. I'm going to take Emmanuel McNeil-Warren and not think twice about it. There are some other names here. I like Gabe Yakis. I like Zion Young. You know, we could go Colton Hood or one of these top corners, but if we can reinvigorate the safety position with Kobe Bryant and Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, that is turning one of their biggest weaknesses into what I think can be an absolute strength. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren fits the mold of the prototype that you're seeing nowadays more and more. This Nicky Monwari, Kyle Hamilton, probably Caleb Downs type role. McNeil-Warren is just that big body type, great run defender, sound in coverage, can be a playmaker when the ball is in the air. I just feel like this is such a home run hit. I was actually eyeing AJ Halsey for the role, thinking that McNeil-Warren wasn't going to be available because I think Halsey is a great player too that can do some similar things. I think McNeil-Warren is a better football player. So, yeah, this one's pretty easy for me. We'll focus on some of these other positions down the board here. McNeil-Warren, welcome to the class. I'm loving where we're at right now. We're up at 72, and you know what? Connor Lew is right here, and man, I got to be honest with you, I'm loving how this class is turning out right now for this team. I was thinking that this wasn't going to be how it would go. Ted Karras is an okay center. He's okay. He's 32 years old, and we could use that upgrade in that room. Let's look at the other positions, though, because I still feel like interior defensive line is a massive need. And, man, we got Darrell Jackson Jr. right here. That is really enticing to me. He's such a high upside swing of a player, which the Bengals have done quite a bit of that in their past couple of classes. You know, we brought back Reeder and Lopez, not brought back Lopez, but signed Lopez. We still have a couple young guys there we're developing. You know, plus we have a little bit of extra cap space. Maybe they signed a swing on somebody. I don't hate that idea. What about edge? Is anybody calling my name here? Not necessarily. I haven't watched Crawford yet, so if he's a stud, let me know. But I haven't seen him. Denied Dennis Sutton's an okay football player. I feel like he's got a lot of upside, but I just don't know if he's the difference maker right now that Connor Lew could be. Look at corner. If Devin Moore is here, which he is, and I think Devin Moore is a stud, dude. I think he's so good. Man, this is tough. I think I'm going to lean Connor Lew here because I don't hate the corner board as we go along down the board here. I love Devin Moore, and I'd consider him, but the idea of getting our future interior offensive line set up nicely with Brown and Mims as your two tackles, Reisner for the next 1 or 2 years, Connor Lew and the interior in the center position, and then Francis Maui-Noah. I really don't hate that idea here. But corner, I just feel like is also a big time need. But we improved the secondary so much with our two safeties that I wonder if we can get by with that. And I just feel like Connor Lew is just going to be such a sound starter in the center position that, yeah, let's go Connor Lew. Let's play a little bit safe here. I'm loving this class, man. Maui-Noah, McNeil-Warren, and Connor Lew. Like, that's some fun stuff there. We're back up with our last pick. This is our 4th round pick here. Mikal Kamara is interesting. He had a really good year for Indiana. He's a little undersized, but he can play, man. Skylar Gill-Howard, if you're looking for more of a disruptor, just a stockier build, more of a pass rusher body type. I don't hate that at all. Tim Keenan as well, just big body dude. He's not going to give you much as a run defender or pass rusher, but very much a run defender. Davison Igbinosun, I don't hate that one at all, actually. Very physical style corner. He's a bit handsy, very grabby. We saw that last year with all the penalties, but I feel like he cleaned a lot of things up this year. Man, I mean, really, you're just kind of taking swings here in round 4. You know, you're probably not looking for full-time starters in this position, which we're not really. We've addressed the interior offensive line heavily. We got our new strong safety and free safety in the building. The corner board, you know, Scott, he's a good player. He had an injury this year, so it's kind of disappointing. But he could be your play at the slot corner position. We saw him last year and the year prior, you know, basically playing full-time over there, swinging inside and outside, had some good years. I don't hate that idea at all. Taking the swing on Scott and then banking on that one. What about interior defensive line again? Man, Grayson Halton's a good football player, dude. He's a good football player. 6'2", 292. You can see he brought the juice in the pass rush game. I thought he looked good at the Senior Bowl. Good run defender in college, too. We'll see if that can translate. I think right now I'm actually kind of leaning Grayson Halton here because I just think he could be a disruptor. We brought in some run defenders in Lopez and Reeder. Maybe Grayson can develop into being more of that disruptor up the middle because I'm not really seeing anybody else here that I'm like in love with. Torian York, great, smart football player, but he's so undersized. And then, you know, we also have to throw in Dame Tucker out there too. We didn't really address the edge rushing room like seriously. We brought back everybody and we brought in Leonard Floyd. Nadame Tucker, I mean, he had a productive year over there at Western Michigan, but it's very tempting. There's a lot of good options here. I think we're going to go with the interior defensive lineman and Grayson Halton here, just because I feel like we're okay in the secondary now, especially with our safety upgrades. We should be better in that room. Kobe Bryant is going to make those corners a ton better. Same with Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. We already addressed linebacker enough with Alex Anzalone, and we want to continue to develop some of the guys we've taken in years past. I know that interior defensive line is not the most pressing need, but we do need a rotation of bodies. We let 2 guys leave last year, or I guess this year. We brought in 2 new faces. Bringing in Grayson Halton is a high upside swing here that I do not hate at all. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go Grayson Halton here. He can be the disruptor up the middle behind these 2 guys, sort of that rotational piece. I think he could be a baller. I like this draft class, man. I really do like this draft class. Francis Maui-Noah in the first pick, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren round 2, Connor Lew round 3, and Grayson Halton round 4. I am very satisfied with the work we did today. So really quickly, I'm going to go ahead and try and recap every single thing we did this video by giving you guys the depth chart. At the quarterback position is going to be Joe Burrow, backed up by Joe Flacco. The running back room is also the same, Chase Brown and Samaje Perine. The wide receiving core is going to be Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Jalen Naylor. Tight ends are going to be the same, Mike Gesicki and Noah Fant. The offensive line room is going to be Brown and Mims at tackle. Our interior offensive line will be Reisner, Francis Maui-Noah, Ted Karras, and Connor Lew. And then on the defensive side of things, our edge rushers are going to be Joseph Osai, Shamar Stewart, Miles Murphy, and Leonard Floyd. The interior defensive line is going to be DJ Reader, Roy Lopez, McKinley Jackson, and of course Grayson Halton. The linebackers are going to be Demetrius Knight, Barrett Carter, and Alex Anzalone. The corners will be Dax Hill, DJ Turner, Jalen Davis, and the safeties are going to be Emmanuel McNeil-Warren and Kobe Bryant. Guys, does this team win a championship? Maybe, maybe not. I do feel like we got a lot better in this video. So please let me know in the comment section below what you liked, what you disliked. And if you enjoyed, please hit that like and subscribe button. I love you guys. Peace.